Movies. The hero walks into town, dusty boots, a cool hat, a gun on his hip. He doesn't say much, but everyone fears him. He rides off into the sunset. Everything looks kind of amazing. But here's the truth. The Wild West wasn't a movie. It was real life. And real life out there was brutal, dirty, painful, and short. If you were somehow dropped into the American frontier in the 1870s, no phone, no medicine, no modern knowledge, you would not last a week. In fact, most of us wouldn't last more than a few days. Today, we're going to walk through exactly why. Let's start from the moment you arrive. Let's say you wake up on day one. You're somewhere in the open West. Maybe Texas, maybe Kansas, maybe Arizona. The first thing you notice is the heat. Not the kind of heat you feel walking to your car. This is a deep, pressing heat, the kind that comes before 9 in the morning and doesn't stop. There's no air conditioning, no fan, no cold bottle of water in the fridge. You're already thirsty. And that's your first real problem: water. In the Wild West, finding clean water was one of the hardest things a person could do. Rivers and streams existed, yes, but most of them carried bacteria that could make you violently sick within hours. Things like cholera and typhoid lived in those waters, and you wouldn't even know it was dangerous until it was too late. Modern people have no training to find safe water in the wild. We wouldn't know how to read the land, follow animal trails to a spring, or purify water with limited tools. We'd probably just drink from the nearest river and wonder why we felt terrible 2 days later. And once you're sick with cholera, in the 1800s, that could kill you in less than 48 hours. So, day one, you're already in trouble. Okay, say you find water somehow. Now you're hungry. There are no grocery stores, no restaurants, no vending machines. If you want food, you have one of 3 options: hunt it, grow it, or trade for it. And none of those things are easy. Hunting sounds exciting in movies, but real hunting in the 1800s took skill, years of skill. You had to know which animals lived in the area. You had to track them quietly across rocky or sandy ground. You had to shoot accurately with a gun that was much harder to use than modern weapons. And you had to do all of this without scaring the animal away. Most of us have never done any of that. And even if you caught something, a rabbit, a bird, do you know how to prepare it? How to clean it properly so you don't get sick? How to cook it over an open fire in the right way? Probably not. Growing food is even harder. Farmers in the West spent years learning how to grow crops in dry, difficult soil. It was back-breaking work, and many still failed. Trading for food required money or goods to offer, and you have neither. By day 2, you'd be running low on energy and starting to make bad decisions because your body is hungry and tired. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention in the movies: the weather. The American frontier had extreme weather. Not just hot summers, although those were deadly, but also freezing winters, sudden violent storms, dust storms that turned the sky brown and made it impossible to breathe or see, lightning strikes on open, flat land with nowhere to hide. Blizzards on the northern plains could trap people for days. Temperatures dropped so low that livestock died overnight. People lost fingers and toes to frostbite. Some people froze to death just steps away from their own front door, lost in a whiteout storm they didn't see coming. You, with no shelter skills, no warm clothing made for those conditions, and no experience reading weather patterns, would struggle enormously. Even a mild rainstorm would be dangerous if it soaked your clothes and you had no way to get warm and dry quickly. Hypothermia can happen even in temperatures that don't feel that cold, especially when you're already weak from hunger and thirst. The weather alone could end your week before it started. This is one of the biggest differences between now and then, and most people don't realize how serious it is. In the Wild West, there were almost no real doctors, and even the ones who existed had very little to work with. They didn't know about germs the way we do today. They didn't have antibiotics, no vaccines, no real painkillers beyond whiskey and basic herbs. Something as simple as a cut on your hand could kill you. Seriously, if a small wound got infected and infections spread fast in dirty, dusty conditions, there was almost nothing anyone could do. Infections turned into fever, fever turned into sepsis, and sepsis killed. Broken bones were set by hand, without x-rays. Surgeries were done without proper anesthesia. Tooth pain was treated by pulling the tooth. No numbing, no modern tools. Common diseases like smallpox, cholera, dysentery, and tuberculosis spread quickly through towns and camps. Entire communities were sometimes wiped out by a single outbreak. Now think about yourself, right now. Do you have any ongoing medical needs? Any medications you take regularly? Glasses? Asthma? Diabetes? Any of those conditions without modern medicine become life-threatening almost immediately. Even if you're completely healthy today, one bad scratch, one bad drink of water, one bad fall from a horse, and you're in serious danger with no help available. Now let's talk about the human element. Yes, outlaws and gunfighters existed, but the real human danger of the Wild West was more complex than just bad guys with guns. Life on the frontier was deeply competitive. Resources were scarce, trust was hard to earn, and violence, while not as constant as movies suggest, was always a possibility and happened with very little warning. Strangers were viewed with deep suspicion. If you showed up in a frontier town with no connections, no references, no skills to offer, and no money, people would not be friendly. They'd wonder what you wanted. They'd be careful around you. And if you somehow made the wrong person angry, or even just looked weak and easy to take advantage of, you could find yourself robbed, beaten, or worse. Beyond personal danger, there were also major conflicts happening across the frontier during this era. Wars between settlers and Native American tribes were widespread and deadly. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, which, as a confused newcomer, was very likely, could put you in the middle of a violent conflict you had no part in starting and no way to escape. The frontier was not a safe place. It was a place where people survived by being tough, skilled, connected, and lucky. You would be none of those things. Here's something worth stopping to think about. The people who actually lived in the Wild West, even the ones who struggled, had skills from childhood that we simply don't have today. They knew how to ride a horse, not just sit on one, but control it, care for it, and rely on it for travel and survival. Horses were the cars, the trucks, and the ambulances of the frontier. Without knowing how to ride, you'd be walking everywhere, slowly in dangerous heat, covering very little ground. They knew how to start a fire, in the rain, in the wind, with limited dry material. This sounds simple, but it takes real practice. No lighter, no matches, just flint, steel, and knowledge. They knew how to navigate without GPS, how to read the stars, how to use the sun, how to recognize landmarks across a landscape that looks the same in every direction. They knew how to fix things, saddles, wagon wheels, tools, shelters with their hands and basic materials. They knew how to read people and situations quickly because their safety depended on it. We've traded all of those skills for modern convenience, and that's fine. Modern life is much better in almost every way. But drop us back in time, and we are completely unprepared. There's one more thing that's easy to overlook: the mental and emotional pressure of frontier life. Think about what your average day involves. Probably some screens, some food you didn't have to work hard for, comfort, entertainment, communication with people you care about. Now take all of that away. You're alone or surrounded by strangers. You don't know if you'll eat tomorrow. You don't know if the weather will hurt you. Every decision carries real consequences. There's no one to call for help. There's no safety net. This level of constant stress and uncertainty is something our modern minds are not trained to handle. People in the frontier era grew up with this stress. It was normal to them. For us, it would be paralyzing. Studies today show that even short periods of isolation and survival stress can cause serious psychological harm. Anxiety, poor decision-making, panic, all things that would make your already dangerous situation even worse. So, could you survive a week in the Wild West? Honestly, almost certainly not, and it's not because you're weak or intelligent. It's because survival in that world required an entirely different set of skills, instincts, and experiences that we simply haven't needed for generations. The people who actually lived in the Wild West era were tough in ways we can barely imagine. They worked harder, suffered more, and relied on raw human skill every day just to stay alive. We romanticize that era because the movies make it look exciting, and parts of it were, but most of it was hard, exhausting, painful, and short. The average life expectancy on the frontier was shockingly low. We live longer, healthier, more comfortable lives than almost any human